Hi, I'm Dave Booth with Caliber Equipment. What I'd like to do today is take a few minutes to talk about these different machines, but one of the questions we get a lot is, my machine's not drying the floor well, or how do I get maximum productivity and wear on my squeegees? So what I've done today is line up 3 different machines, but on all scrubbers, the principle is pretty much the same. I need to have good vacuum, good vac motor, no clogs in the hose, and then the squeegee that's touching the floor, that's the key to getting a good dry floor and how to properly adjust it. As I said, this is a question that we get a lot here at the office from customers calling in, or that our technicians out in the field that have to make adjustments on people's machines, again, to get the maximum drying of their scrubber, as well as the most wear out of their squeegee. If you'll notice, we have 3 different machines here, 3 different categories, but the principle is pretty much the same, whether it's the large industrial combustion engine machine. This is the SC8000 from Advance. This is a mid-size walk-behind scrubber, which is the SC750, or a compact rider scrubber, battery-powered, and this particular machine is from Mach, the M750. But on all these machines, the principle is the same. What we need to look at in order to get maximum drying of the machine or drying of your floor is, do I have good suction, and how well is my squeegee adjusted, the part that's actually on the floor. Now if we walk over here and we look at the big SC8000, you'll see a large squeegee tool, we have dual casters, and then we have an adjustment knob. This you're going to see on all 3 of these machines. So as I said before, doesn't matter what size machine, the principle is the same. The casters are there to keep the squeegee from collapsing onto the floor so we can restrict how much total down pressure there is. If we look over here on the walk behind, again, same thing. However, on this design, the casters are on the back. They're there to keep the squeegee from totally collapsing on the floor. And as I said, we've got an adjustment which changes the pitch and how the tool sits on the carriage. If we look over here on the Mach 750, you'll see pretty much the same thing. I have casters which are designed to keep it from collapsing on the floor, and I have a simple adjustment which again changes the pitch of the machine. Let's look at the 750. This is probably the most popular category of all scrubbers in the industry. Next might be the small riders, and then you work your way up to the very large machines. But again, the principle is the same on all the machines. First thing you want to check, do I have vacuum? Number 2, is there good suction, and do I have any clogs? What we find when we get calls for machines that aren't drying the floor, everything is set right, there's a clog in the hole. And one way that you can kind of look at that is if I turn this machine on, and I'm going to take the vacuum hose off the squeegee. So when I turn this on, you're going to hear the vacuum motor, but I'm going to block the hose. And what I'm looking for is, if I've got good suction and no obstructions, this lid is going to pull down. Right now I can lift it up, but if I cover this, this lid is actually pulling down. If you watch it, you'll see it collapse. Okay, so what that tells me is I've got a good vac motor with plenty of suction, and I've diverted all the suction down here to the hose, and when I block this, that lid pulled down. So basically now it's telling me, okay, I've got a good vacuum motor, I don't have any blockage, so why am I not drying the floor? If I take this squeegee off, just so we can get a better look at it, as you see, it comes off pretty much all machines. It's called a breakaway. It fits onto the carriage, clamps on here. In the event it gets hit, it should break off. If I flip this over, all squeegees have 2 rubbers. You've got a front leading blade and a rear blade. And what the idea is, when this goes down the floor, is little slots if I have a smooth floor so the air and the water can get inside of this, what I call a chamber. The rougher the floor, I don't need the slots because the air and the water will go underneath. The more smooth your floor is, you need to have more slits so the air and the water can get inside of here. The key to a dry floor, assuming I've got good vacuum motor, good suction, is the rear blade. When this drags on the floor, and you see how it bends, that's what I want. I want to see it angle about 45 degrees from tip to tip. Over time, what happens is this inner edge, because that's all that's touching the floor, it's going to start getting worn, beveled, or chafed, so it doesn't adhere to the floor quite as well. When that starts happening, it's time to flip the blade. A lot of customers are not aware that most squeegee blades, the rear blade, has 1, 2, 3, 4 edges. So when this edge starts wearing and it's not drying the floor as well, I simply take this band off, take the rubber and flip it over. Because now I've taken that outer edge that's sitting there doing nothing and I moved it to the inside, sharp edge, dry floor. When these two edges are worn out or it's gotten real thin, maybe it's gotten wavy from oil and chemicals, or it may get torn, I take the whole blade and I flip it over because now I take this edge that's up here and move it to the bottom. So most squeegees, I'm going to flip it 4 times. That way I get maximum drying and the most wear out of the squeegee rubber before I have to replace it. Now the front blade here is not as critical about the edges, but if I have a piece missing, now I don't have that what I call vacuum chamber for the water and air to get in here, travel up this slit, and now the hose picks it up. So I want to make sure I have good rubber in the front, good rubber in the rear, and a sharp edge. That's how you get maximum drying along with good suction. Okay? Now, the last thing to adjust a squeegee, as I said before, when it goes forward, I want to see it bend the same from tip to tip. What will happen, and that's what this adjustment is for, it changes the pitch of the blade. Either it changes the carriage and it leans it forward or it leans it back. If it's out of adjustment and it's leaning too far forward, what happens, the tips get pushed down and you'll wear them excessively fast, but you're going to miss water in the middle. If it's leaning too far back, then the middle gets pushed down and the tips are off the floor. So now I'm leaving water on the tips and I'm wearing the center excessively. So the easiest way is put it on the machine, depending on your type. Make sure it's locked on there correctly, nice and snug. Have your hose on there. Drop the squeegee down, and if I move it forward, I want to see it bend the same from tip to tip. Now you have to make sure you've got a nice level floor because some floors have different pitches to them, but on a smooth area, drop it down, let it slide forward a little bit. If it doesn't bend the same from tip to tip, if it's further down here than in the middle or more in the middle than in the tips, then I just make subtle adjustments and I turn this one way or the other until I can see that it's bent the same from tip to tip as it moves forward. That's how we get a properly adjusted squeegee, maximum drying from tip to tip, best wear on your rubber. The other key to a dry floor is having the correct squeegee rubber. Most machines you can get 3 or 4 different types of rubber. There's gum rubber, which you see here, usually a light cream colored. That's the softest. It molds best to a rough floor. You get the best drying, but it's going to wear the quickest. Probably the most popular is what they call Lanatex. Usually it's red, and you have it on this machine and you have it on the large machine. It's a little denser. It's a little more durable, so it's going to last longer, but if you don't have a fairly smooth floor, the rubber is not going to mold to the floor as well. But this is going to wear very well and do a really good job. If you have a real smooth floor and you want a very dense rubber, you can go to neoprene, or there's even one even more stiff, but you got to have a smooth floor. May sound a little confusing, but give us a call. We can help walk you through what is the right rubber for your machine depending on the type of floor that you have and what kind of environment and the chemicals you're going to be exposing the rubber to. But the principle is all the same. Good vacuum motor, no clogs, so I've got good suction down to the tool, and then making sure that tool lays flat on the floor evenly and bends the same from tip to tip. If it doesn't, all you may need is a little adjustment to get yourself back in business. Any questions? Give us a call. Caliber Equipment, 888-550-0945. And we'll help go through and maybe help solve a simple problem, get the right rubber on your scrubber, get you back in business so that your machine is performing like it should. And thanks for watching.